right, welcome back, everybody. Fantasy Alarm TV, the Mans and Flowers show, back with you, talking about something that is near and dear to our hearts, and that is Twitter trolls. Oh, you know who you are. You're watching this right now, I guarantee it, you little bastards. Ray Flowers, the Oracle, Twitter trolls. You have, I don't know, 50 million Twitter followers. I don't know. You have like twice as many as I do, so I'm sure you get it just as worse. This stems from the other night, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Atlanta Falcons game. Early in the week, Ray, I had mentioned that I like Doug Martin. Falcons coming into it with the next to worst rush defense in the NFL through the first two games. They're not big up front. The Falcons defensive line very weak, not good at run stopping. Buccaneers, Logan Mankins and Dietrich Smith, Dietrich Smith, some big maulers, guys who could pancake guys. This is a great matchup for Doug Martin. Well, lo and behold, Ray, Doug Martin doesn't play, and then I had never been a Bobby Rainey fan. Were you a Bobby Rainey fan at all this week?
No. I mean, volume, if Martin was out of the mix, you had to think that Rainey was a low-level RB2 because of the volume, but and the last time he faced the Falcons, what did he go for 160 yards rushing? And the two games before that, Doug Martin had averaged like 95 yards. But no, right. Rainey was not high on my list this week.
In a PPR format, I said maybe a flex play, low-level flex play, what have you. Well, it turns out Rainey had a terrible first half especially. He fumbled twice. He got pulled from the game, was barely a factor. Now, he ended up with 13.5 points in a PPR format. Not terrible considering how bad the initial was. But on Twitter, just blew up. They went crazy, Ray. They're talking about, oh, you guys, you're so stupid, and, you know, where's your Doug Martin now? And you told you Doug. He didn't play! He didn't play! How can that be my fault that Doug Martin didn't play? What do I do? Am I the healer? Am I Mr. freaking Miyagi? Ray, I mean, this is the problem with Twitter and social media. It's fine. When we get a call wrong, no problem. Absolutely. I love Jordan Matthews this year. He's not doing anything. I loved Carlos Hyde last week. He did nothing. Come at me with that. That's fair game. But when a guy's not playing or he goes down with an injury, Ray, that's not our fault.
No. And I have my own story with the game last night. Someone called in to Sirius XM on the radio and asked me a question about Devin Hester, and I blew him off. I said, look, you got to be kidding me with this Devin Hester talk. And he goes out and has the punt return for the touchdown. Now, most leagues don't count that for a player, right? That's a defense special teams.
Some don't. Yeah, some do, some don't. That is a very league-specific ruling there.
Right. So some guy came at me. He's like, oh, you're an idiot because you didn't say start Devin Hester. And I started Harry Douglas and my night is over. And I'm like, in a traditional PPR setup, Devin Hester scored 2 more points than Harry Douglas last night. 2. So, it's one of those things where people, I don't think they know what they're doing. I don't think they necessarily understand what's going on. And they certainly like to blame you. Like, I'm the only person in the world that said, don't play Devin Hester. Like, you're the only person in the world that said, oh my gosh, look at the success the Bucs have had running the football against the Falcons of late. Look at the fact that the Falcons' defense the first 2 weeks of the season was absolutely abysmal. Oh my gosh, if Doug Martin's getting 15 to 20 touches, you want to play him. You were the only guy that said that, Jeff. No one else agreed with you on that.
Right. Yeah, no, obviously not. And it also, I mean, this goes to show, the Falcons put up 21 first-quarter points. That game was on ice after the first quarter. The Bucs at that point, they can't run the ball. You can't run the ball when you're down 21-0 in the first quarter. That's just not, you can't do it. There's nothing you can do there. You can try, but if you're not getting anywhere, you're in a lot of trouble. You need to start throwing the ball, and teams tend to panic when they're down that amount of points as well. And the Devin Hester thing is just stupid. Two touches. I think he only had 1 catch and 1 carry, right, in that game.
Right.
Now, granted, one was the touchdown. When you're talking about a wide receiver who runs a touchdown, especially when it's like a gimmicky play like that, Cordero Patterson a couple weeks ago, and now Devin Hester this week, that is gimmick, that is fraudulent. You cannot live, your fantasy team cannot survive on that. Wide receivers are not built to maintain 10, 15, even 5, 10 carries. They can't do it. They're not wired that way. They're not used to getting hit that way. There's a reason that Marvin Harrison and guys like that, back in the day with the Colts, they taught them, go down, catch the ball, go down, fall to the ground, don't even get touched. We don't want you taking hits. There's a reason for that. You don't want Cordero Patterson or Devin Hester getting hit 5 times a game. They're going to break in half. There's a reason they're kick returners. They're not functional parts of the offense. Stupid.
Well, unless you're the Bills and you want to play C.J. Spiller on kick returns, because apparently he's bulletproof. The scenario that you're describing here is common sense to me, and I know it is to you. It's not to a lot of other people. You know, if you have wideouts running end arounds and they're ripping off 40-yard runs, can you count on that? I mean, Patterson's a perfect example. The guy's got more yards as a runner than he does as a receiver through 2 games. You think that's going to continue, folks? You think,
of course.
I mean, so unless he learns to catch the ball, unless he becomes a bigger part of the offense through the passing game, his production's going down. It's not complicated. Same thing with Devin Hester or any of these other guys. And people like to chase. And I saw you wrote an article about this the other day. People like to chase points instead of understanding that what happened last week on a broken play or something like that doesn't matter. Wide open. Jeremy Mackin gets a wide open touchdown in week 1. Matt Asiata gets a wide open touchdown in week 2. Can you expect production like that from these guys moving forward?
No.
If defenses just remember they're on the field? No, you can't.
No. Darren Sproles in the Monday night. Go look at Darren Sproles' production on Monday night. It will blow your mind. Your mind will be like, you compare his Monday nights, I think it's 5 games historically, compared to the rest of his entire career, and it's about 70% of the fantasy production. It is redonkulous what Darren Sproles put. And the actual Doug Martin conversation came up on Tuesday night on the Fantasy Alarm Show at SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio because people were chasing Bobby Rainey. Everybody's over Bobby Rainey. Bobby Rainey, look at 160 all-purpose yards. Oh, we love Bobby Rainey. I said, slow down. Don't go after Bobby Rainey. Bobby Rainey is not the guy to have right now. He's not the starting running back. We saw it. He fumbled twice. He can't carry the ball. He can't carry the ball 10, 15, 20 times a game. He's a gimmick player too. And that's what you're talking about, right? Chasing last week. The guys who do this for a living, the ones that win big money and big money leagues and all that, I hate to tell everybody this. We're not chasing last week. We're not going, oh, who was hot last week? I'm going to the waiver wire getting only this guy. No. Who's in the best possible situation? Who's getting touches? Who's getting snaps? Who's getting looks, targets, the receptions? That's what you need to look for. The better situation you can put yourself in as far as for production purposes, the guy who has the most snaps, the most targets, the most touches. That way, and that's what we do for a living. We grind all those numbers on a weekly basis. We spit out who is in the best possible situation for success, right?
Yeah, and it's not that complicated if you look at it simply. I mean, obviously there's other factors involved. What's the matchup and other scenarios, who else is healthy on the offense or defense, that kind of thing. But if you look at touches, you look at snaps, you look at the way players are utilized, as you're talking about, Jeff, that's what matters. And I know the regular folks don't have time to watch 40 hours of video or anything like that, but that's why they need to come to Fantasy Alarm so that we can tell them that. We can give them that information because they don't have time to look it up.
No question about it. And lastly, all you Twitter trolls, we do not control injuries. Injuries are not our fault. We don't hurt these guys. We don't sprain Doug Martin's MCL. We don't tear Jordan Cameron's shoulder apart. That's not our fault. If a guy doesn't produce because of an injury or his team decides he has a concussion or might have a concussion or any of that kind of stuff, that's not on us. That's not our fault. Stop.
Well, it might be on you. It might be on you, Jeff. You have a lot of power. So
I have wizardry powers. I mean, look at these giganto fingers. I get it. I mean, I do. I minored in sorcery back in my college days. That's true, Ray. But
I didn't know that. Okay, yeah.
I mean, it was a minor. It wasn't a big deal. I was a journalism major mostly, but I did dabble in sorcery, so it's like sort of a side gig for me. But it's not our fault. Come at us with the real. If you want better advice and you want better knowledge, you want better facts, fine. But don't argue stupid points with us. Don't argue, well, you got hurt in this way, and then the Falcons were up 21-0, and he didn't get any. No! Or your guy that you were high on this week didn't play, so you were wrong. No! I'm not wrong for that. I'm wrong because a guy plays and sucks, and I thought would do better. That's on me. Carlos Hyde week 2. That is on me, not the other way around. Anyway, out of time for now. It's Mans and Flower Show, episode 2.0, coming at you on Fantasy Alarm TV. Go to fantasyalarm.com for all the latest and greatest, guys. Follow us on Twitter at BaseballGuides and at Jeff_Mans. For Ray Flowers, it's Jeff Mans for Fantasy Alarm TV. Until next time, everybody.